Hey, yo, what's decent? Yo, I got a crazy battle against my boy Joey. Let's get this going, yo. I'm gonna lead up with Gardevoir. He's gonna lead up respectively with the Thunderous. Now, when I saw Thunderous, I'm thinking like, okay, he's just gonna go for the Volt Switch, assuming that I would think that he has the Thunder Wave, and I idealistically don't want my Gardevoir to get paralyzed, so I thought that he was gonna predict that a switch out into whatever I might want to switch out into to potentially take on the Thunderous in order to go for the Volt Switch so that he could get switch priority onto whatever I decide to switch out into. But that's not exactly the case. I go and use Thunderbolt on the Klefki switching, and afterwards I switch into Rotom. Hard switch out into Hippowdon for two reasons. Number one, I don't want Joey to switch into Garchomp to ruin my momentum with the Volt Switch, assuming that he might switch into Garchomp on my Volt Switch, and then afterwards I might have to worry about a Garchomp potentially having the Lumberry and getting up a +2 and or getting off maybe a Substitute or a Dragon Claw. And secondary, it will be ideal for me to keep this man guessing. I don't want him to see that I'm a leftovers Rotom as of yet. I might benefit from perpetrating that I'm a Choice Scarf variant when I'm really not. So that was two reasons why I made that hard switch into Hippowdon, but that doesn't work out as he switches in his Celebi, obviously, as you guys can see. And then I'm just going to hard switch out into my Metagross as he goes and uses Baton Pass. So that gives him Switch Initiative, which disables me to safely keep in the Metagross. I mean, I really did want to go for the Ice Punch, but at the same time, it's not ideal for me to do so, to make a play right here when it's not necessary, because I do have Hippowdon, which could take the Earthquake. So I'm just gonna go into that, and then afterwards I'm just gonna go and use Slack Off. And I'm thinking like, you know what, he's gonna go for the Earthquake. I can live in Earthquake and possibly a Dragon Claw, so I was thinking about going for the Rocks and then afterwards going for the Slack Off, which is exactly what I was going to do, because I have the Rotom, I have Mence. Mence is Scarf, but he doesn't know that yet, so I don't want him to switch up his moves and go for the Dragon Claw, so I stay in the secondary turn, despite my better judgment, and go for the Slack Off, but he just takes me out with the secondary Earthquake. So now, I'm just going to switch into Gardevoir to perpetrate the Choice Scarf, which I'm really not. I'm a red card, but just in case he doesn't call my bluff right here, I'm just going to go out into my Salamence, which just happens to be a flying type, which happens to also be Scarf. And plus, since Gardevoir is a fairy type, he can't exactly go for the Dragon Claw in that particular turn. So he switches out into Klefki. He sets up a secondary layer of spikes, so he's gonna go for the Volt Switch. And look who's using Innovation as well. So go figure. A Citrus Berry Klefki? Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one using innovative stuff here. I got a Choice Scarf, Intimidate, Salamence, as well as a red card Gardevoir. He switches to CAMERUPT, which CAMERUPT does resist both of the standard Clefable stabs, being the Flamethrower as well as the Moonlight. And I'm just going to switch right out into Rotom, because I know he's going to want to Mega Evolve right here and go for the Sheer Force activated Heat Wave, Flamethrower, and or Fire Blast. All of which Rotom can take at this particular point in the game, but it's still going to inflict a lot. I mean, there are not going to be so many turns that I can just come in with Rotom safely and take a Sheer Force Fire Blast coming from a CAMERUPT. I mean, that's crazy. So I'm going to predict his obvious switch. He knows that CAMERUPT is going to be very important for him for later on in the game, so I'm just going to switch into Metagross, which is the optimal time for me to go ahead and Mega Evolve, which is something that I just had in the back of my mind, because looking back at his party now, I'm thinking that a lot of guys can just like get destroyed by Meteor Mash. I mean, look at that. That's probably a physically defensive Celebi right there, but it just like took a lot from Tough Claw's Meteor Mash. So I just wanted to go ahead and use the Zen Headbutt just in case he happened to go for the Baton Pass out into his Mega CAMERUPT here to try to destroy something else on my party, but he instead goes to recover, which I didn't think that he had, because he showed me Giga Drain a little bit earlier on, hence why I also switched up my moves. Now I'm just going to switch it back just in case he switches out into something else, which he ends up doing. He goes out into his Klefki, which is great because he takes neutral damage from a Tough Claw's Meteor Mash. So now he's going to bring in his Mega CAMERUPT, and this thing is just going to utterly almost destroy Clefable. That is a special. Whoa, look at that, man. So he figures I'm just going to go ahead and recover, which I am just going to go ahead and do. I don't see the reason why I shouldn't at this point right now, since I see these Trick Room dissipated. I'm just going to go for the Calm Mind, so this will enable me to take a Fire Blast a little bit better. So I do that just fine, and I am just going to be able to go ahead and recover. I figure Azumarill is going to come in, which I am correct. Alright, Azumarill is going to come in, so I'm thinking like, alright, I can just weaken this thing, and now I can just go for a +1 Moonblast, preventing him from setting up the Belly Drum. But much to my surprise, he ends up being faster than me, and just later on revealed that he was actually a Choice Bandage set, and I was like, you what? No! I was so surprised by that little move right there. No chance at all to inflict any damage onto the Azumarill, which was much to my detriment here. So Thundurus comes in after I finish off his Celebi, and what I'm just gonna do is go out into Gardevoir just to take the Thunderbolt and or the Volt Switch, just because Gardevoir is the least of my worries right now. I need my Metagross as well as my Rotom especially. So now I'm just gonna bring in the Rotom. Now I just did say that I need it, but I predicted him to go for the Thunderbolt as opposed to going for the knockoff. It will knock me down into red, and I'll be able to go ahead and Pain Split and recover a little bit more HP than the amount of HP that I currently have, as opposed to him now going for the knockoff and then following up with a Thunderbolt, which would ensure that the Rotom bites the dust there. So now I'll switch into Salamence because I don't want my Rotom to dissipate right away, and I locked myself into Draco Meteor just so that the Azumarill could come in, so that I could recover a little bit more with the Rotom. Had I locked myself onto anything else, he would have been more prompted to, well, I mean, he could have switched into Azumarill too, I guess, on the Hydro Pump, which I am carrying on the Salamence there also, because I guess he wouldn't want Garchomp and or CAMERUPT to take that as well. But I guess, you know, I wanted Draco Meteor because Draco Meteor is a little bit more accurate, plus I get stabbed on it, and also allows him to second guess him bringing in the Garchomp. So I'm able to actually on the switch out into CAMERUPT do what I planned out to do, which was to go for the Pain Split to give me enough HP in order to survive a Dragon Claw, a neutral Dragon Claw from the Garchomp, go for the Pain Split, but it does not happen because he has Substitute. And in the back of my mind I was like, yo, I had this game until he showed me Substitute. There was no way I could win after that. So crazy close 2-0, man. I am an Adamant variant, so you're naturally faster than me because I am an agility set. So that's good. Great game, Joey. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Check him out if you guys don't know who he is. Also, if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like. And if you guys want to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to me. It's awesome. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. What you doing?